Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Marvel Contest of Champions. And it looks like there is a whole bunch of controversy coming out, particularly with Battlegrounds, also with Raids. Now, I'm not a Raids player. I do some Battlegrounds, but there was some stuff that got put out recently that upset a lot of YouTubers and big MCOC players. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about everything that is associated with it and all that and more. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or a comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, so we have this right over here. We'll put the finger up right there, over there. And I'm going to turn my head because I got to look over at the other screen. So we got this that came out in the news on the 19th, and it was edited very recently. It wasn't, I don't think that this was edited, well, it was edited late yesterday. It is 13:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right now, and I believe this was edited sometime last night. So this was the announcement that got put out on the 19th, which was on Thursday, for changes being made to Battlegrounds. And the main thing that got changed that everybody got upset about was the changes in the point total. So if you don't know, your point total when you do a Battlegrounds match, whether you win or whether you lose, is based off of three different things: how much health the opponent has left, how much health you have left, and how long it took if you got that opponent down to 0 health. And you can see that it's all lined out right now, but it wasn't lined out as of yesterday. So at some point last night, these got lined out, and we're going to talk about why. But here's the gist of it. Normal scoring, or the previous scoring, so pre-season 27, the scoring was going to be 30,000 points if the defender had 0 health remaining. If you took him to 0, you got 30,000 points. If you had 100% left, you got 15,000 points, and then the fight duration was up to 10,000 points. That got changed, and the change that was made was that the point total for the fight duration went up quite a bit. And so the point total here is 30, 45, 55,000. Now, there's nobody that really gets 55,000 points, obviously, because the duration is going to go for a while. But, the highest total I think I've ever gotten on a Battlegrounds fight is 53,000 points, which is very close to getting it done almost instantly. You just go in, you nuke the opponent, and I didn't take any hits or damage, and they went to 0. So 53,000 is the highest I have ever gotten. For the most part, I think scores over 46,000 are pretty good for a fight. Those will usually land you probably 75 to 80% of the time. That'll land you with a win if you get 46,000 points or more. Now they have upped the point total to 60,000, giving people a bonus if they are able to win the fight faster. So, I'm not a massive Battlegrounds player. I am not a free-to-play player either, so I will put that out there. But, there are a lot of free-to-play players that spend a lot of time in Battlegrounds to get Battlegrounds rewards. And that's another thing that there are a lot of complaints out about right now, is that Battleground rewards are way behind. But they're behind for Valiant players. They're not necessarily behind for the lower progression titles. But we are probably getting a new progression title sometime in June or July-ish. So I do agree they should be upgraded quite a bit. The top rewards that are in there right now are things that get us to having rank 3 7 stars, and everybody that's Valiant has a ton of rank 3 7 stars. So that I don't think is an issue But if we're starting to see people, I'm getting ready to rank for my first 7-star. And so people are starting to get ranked for 7 stars, and I will be ranking another one very, very soon. I just got done with Epic of Pain 100%, and I've almost got 3 tier 7 basic. So there's another one that's going to be going anytime. And that is the chase item right now, is trying to get rank for 7 stars. But that's for Valiant players. It isn't necessarily for Paragon players or for Thronebreaker players or lower than that. So, but a lot of people were not happy with this particular set of points. Now let's go back, and we're going to go back here to the general discussion section. And if I can find I should have had this up, but there is a thread in here about a video that Vega put out. And I think it's on page 2. My first initial thoughts on Bastion, another video, rank for advice. Vega's recent video. Here it is right here. And this is gone for 6 pages. So this came, and here's the video. We're going to talk a little bit about the video. But this came out yesterday, and there have, of course, we get a lot of John Cena memes in here, and that's from him turning heel, if you're a big WWE fan. There's another one. But again, we've got Kabam Pinwheel coming in here and basically saying, we've heard it, we're going to do something about it. And this was yesterday again, and this was yesterday before those lines got put in place, and we're going to look at that again. But love Vega as a creator and a dude, appreciate his take on the situation, understand where he's coming from. Obviously, this isn't a snap your fingers and it's fixed situation, but this is definitely heard, and we're passing it along to the team. So, when we go back to the post, we go back to home here, and we go back to this one, you're instantly going to see that there's lines through this. Those lines got put in there after Vega put his video out, and then a bunch of other YouTubers put their videos out yesterday, and they're all high-profile YouTubers that put videos out saying, this is ridiculous, you can't do this. Now, a lot of Vega's video also went into problems with raids. I'm not a raid player. I could care less about raids. A lot of people play raids. I think raids are expensive to get into, and I don't really want to spend those resources to get those tickets to go into raids. So I'm not going in. A lot of the teams go in. For Loki goes in quite a bit and does raids, but I'm not a raid person. But you saw Kabam Pinwheel's response to the video, and then probably within hours after that, these lines got put in here, and that triggered this. So this came in yesterday. So if you go out here, update based on summoners' feedback, scoring will not change for season 27. Further details, check out this post. So let's check it out. And it's from Kabam Crashed. Hi everyone, when I started writing this post a few weeks ago, I intended it for a video discussion of all our live content. As I got into it, I realized doing that was going to turn into a 50-page report, and trying to do so would delay this post by probably a month. So I decided to go ahead and focus on Battlegrounds, and it's the one place the biggest changes are coming. I'm going to do in this post what I try to do in Banquet post. And we did get that big Banquet post because a lot of people were upset about banquets. Peel back the curtain as much as I can to let you know what the game team is thinking and how decisions are being made. I'm sure lots of you disagree with some of these decisions, and that's okay. I'm going to stop reading at that point. And, here's Vega. Here's his video here that triggered all of this stuff that came out yesterday. So this is 24 hours ago at least. He's got 23,000 subscribers, which is not, that's a lot. That's, in the MCOC world, that's actually kind of, it's I would say in the 25th percentile, but it is not a lot compared to some of the other bigger YouTubers. But he triggered a whole bunch of onks that came after that. So Legacy put a video out about boycotts. He's boycotting. And Legacy has 117,000 subscribers, so that's a big deal. KT1 put a video out. It's happening. And that came out 17 hours ago, and he's got 53,000 subscribers. Seton Madden Legends hasn't put a video out for a month, and he decided to put a video out. And he puts videos out now very sparingly. He puts a couple out a month. Well, he's had quite a few in the last month. He probably puts out 3 or 4 videos a month now, maybe about one a week. I think he's just trying to keep his channel going. But he put a video out, and he's got 317,000 subscribers. He's actually got the most subscribers out of any MCOC YouTuber. Rich the Man put out 6 hours ago. He's got 85,000 subscribers. Simula put a video out about raids and about all the problems with raids, which we're not necessarily going to get into, and he's got 12,000. He's about half as much as Vega. So all of that, but particularly Legacy coming out. Legacy is a big player. I haven't seen anything from Metal Sonic Dude, but Legacy is a big player. And usually when Seton comes out and says something, KT1 normally is very down on Kabam, but usually when Seton comes out and says something, Kabam will pay attention. And he did come out and say something earlier. They did make these changes before this, but I think they may have reached out to him to ask him about his opinion. Rich the Man saying something, this happened earlier. So I think a lot of this generated, plus all the posts that are in this in here also have, which is the forums, those also have caused a lot of angst. So let's continue reading. So before I get in, I want to say I won't be talking about bugs, gameplay issues, or anything else like that. And there's a bunch of those in raids right now. That's the big thing in raids, that the opponents are too hard, and there's a bunch of bugs with them, especially with, I think it was Korg and Weapon X had a bunch. So the team is currently working on a post about the AI and our plans for it, but that is outside my purview, so you won't see any of that discussed here. Additionally, in many cases, I'm going to be simplifying topics. My intent here is to focus on things I think are most important to understanding the plan changes coming to Battlegrounds. Problem space. So there's two things that everybody is upset about. One is they are upset about the changes to those points. And the second thing is they're upset about having a lack of update for the rewards. So I think maybe they're going to talk about that here. I'm going to start by describing some problems and challenges that have driven the changes we are planning to make. Some of these are inherent to the Battlegrounds mode itself. Some of them are more game-wide issues, and some of them are operational challenges on the game team. So this is probably going to be coding stuff. The Battlegrounds meta system design isn't working. When I say Battlegrounds meta system, I'm talking about basically everything outside of the match experience itself. I know this is using the term meta in a way that players generally do not, but it's how we on the game team describe things like various Battlegrounds events and objectives, Battlegrounds resources and currencies, and the seasonal structure as a whole. There are a few reasons why this system isn't working. I'm going to do my best to summarize them here. First, the solo and alliance events have never really worked as intended. So I think he is implying that there's a point system for solo. You get a certain number of points. There's a special event, and then you go up, you get rewards for it, and then at the end they rank everybody and they give extra rewards for that too. And the same thing is for Alliance. The original design assumed that while some players would try to game the system, most would play the mode as intended. That intent being trying to win every match. It hasn't turned out that way, and over time we are seeing more and more players try to game the system. And when they say game the system, they mean they're going in, it's either an AI going in or a modder going in, or they're just going in and not playing at all. I've had lots of matches I have played where I just get somebody who will just quit. They get points for that because they played. So that's gaming the system. We have occasionally taken action against farming. That's what that is. But at the end of the day, we have to be accountable for the incentives we provide players. And right now, those incentives do not line up with how we want the mode to be played. It's a design miss on our part. And I think that is where they're going with the points for how fast it takes to defeat an opponent. Second, because of the way the mode is structured, there is no benefit to pushing to the gladiator circuit and beyond as soon as you're able. When you end up Where you end up when the season ends determine almost the entirety of your reward payout. This causes a number of problems, including very uneven matchmaking, as players have no incentive to compete to the level for the majority of the 4-week season. I play to milestones, and that's it. If I happen to make to Gladiator Circuit by the end of the season, well, that's great. I made it. That's awesome, but that's not my objective. My objective is just to get all the milestones to get as many trophy tokens as I can. That's it. I don't farm. I go in, I play all my matches to try and get that. I would say 95% of the time I end up in Gladiator Circuit. This last time I didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't pay attention to it, and I didn't make Gladiator Circuit. So, third, the restructure of the victory track allowed a large number of players into the Gladiator Circuit, which wasn't originally structured to accommodate the influx. Battlegrounds is a niche game mode, but everybody plays it, so I don't see why it's niche. Everything else on this problem space list will probably make sense to most of the people reading this, but I'm assuming this one will be a surprise to a significant number of you. I'm assuming this based on the dozen of forum posts and YouTube videos I've seen where some version of Kabam is killing the most important game mode. Yes, I've read and watched them all. Despite its importance in the public domain of our game, Battlegrounds is a niche game mode. The vast majority of players do not, nor have they ever played Battlegrounds seriously, even when the rewards were the top of the game shortly after it launched. I'm probably one of those. I do it for milestones. I go in like once a day to get the milestones, and then I'm done. And probably some players don't even do it. I'm sure some of you are thinking, okay, but Battlegrounds is how you make your money because it's the only thing driving players to spend on their rosters. But again, that's not correct. The vast majority of our revenue comes from players who do not, nor have they ever played Battlegrounds seriously. So this probably is a case of a small minority of players being very loud. That's really where that comes. Thinking of Battlegrounds as the most important game mode is an easy trap to fall on. I know this because I myself fell into that trap. For the first year after launch, I was certain Battlegrounds had taken over the game. My colleague numbers used to tell me I was overestimating the importance of mode, but I was convinced. Now looking back, I'm not sure exactly which cognitive fallacy to ascribe to it. I think it was some combination or confirmation bias, blah, blah, blah. If you look at what our content creators are streaming and what people are talking about on social channels, it's very easy to come to that conclusion that Battlegrounds is the contest. And a lot of us in the YouTube space do put videos out of our Battleground fights to show how champions work. It's very easy to do that. This isn't surprising. It's obviously the most engaging mode of the game. A group of hardcore competitive players, many of whom play the contest as their primary hobby and even their career, love it, but it's not for everybody. And the more I dug into the data, the more I came to realize I was wrong. Despite my love for the mode, it was not the core experience, and we had been neglecting that core experience. So it's not making them money, so they are not going to pay attention to it, except there are a number, and I showed the videos, there are a number of big YouTubers who, some are free to play, some are pay to play, and they are playing a lot of Battlegrounds. And a lot of their videos are based off of a lot of Battleground fights. I've done Battleground fight videos before. They haven't been my best videos, but I've done them, and I've used them to show how champs work as well. It is what it is, but Kabam is not making money off of those. They're basing, where do we make our money? They're basing that off of where players are going. So prioritization of more casual audience. Time for some honesty that I'm sure I'll get some DMs about. I'm in a position where I've decided last year that addressing the core issues with Battlegrounds was my priority. We would have at least taken a crack at addressing them. I made the decision not to prioritize it. I'm not the only one in that position, and I'm not going to provide an exhaustive list of everyone who could have focused on the mode and their motivations, but I'm going to share why I made that decision. The vast majority of, and remember, this is Kabam Crashed. So he's one of the main developers, and he's always on all the live streams and everything. So, okay. The vast majority of live service gamers saw a large bump in both players and revenue during COVID. Yes, because we were all home. as people sat around at home with nothing to do. Contest was no exception. Like basically all tech companies, Kabam used these gains in players and revenue to expand. I was hired right at the tail end of the expansion around 3.5 years ago, which would have been around 2021, late 21, early 22. As with all good parties, the hangover to this new normal was rough. At Kabam, we experienced 3 rounds of layoffs. We went through 3 different CEOs, and like almost everyone else in the industry, struggled to deal with the declines that followed. Around 18 months ago, I was tasked with a goal to come up with and implement ideas to stop the decline of our player base. As I set out a plan, I decided on 3 areas where I wanted to focus. Creative, progressively challenging PvE content for endgame players. Epic of Pain, The Ordeal, the Grandmaster Gauntlet, those kinds of things. Paragon Gauntlet, that kind of thing. Creating long-term goals for endgame players, okay? So new progression titles, Act 9 stuff, Epic of Pain, that kind of thing. Providing an improved value proposition for progressing players. So those would be the players that are in the uncollected to Paragon space. These 3 areas got distilled into the goals I talked about on many live streams: clarity, simplicity, and approachability. So when we get new endgame content, all the YouTubers are out immediately talking about it, and everybody gets excited. When Epic of Pain came out, everybody was excited about that. That was a really big deal, and everybody wanted to go forward. So I've seen many people suggest that Kabam hates Battlegrounds, and I can tell you, at least for me, it couldn't be further from the truth. I made no secret that Battlegrounds is my favorite game mode, blah, blah. Okay, I don't care what he has to say about that. So after digging through the data, I determined that contrary to my own personal interest as a player, focusing on Battlegrounds would do nothing to solve our problem of declining player base. Indeed, I even uncovered some evidence that better rewards in Battleground led to worse overall player retention. Wow, that is a revelation right there. Conversely, our high retention rate is among competitive Battleground players. Basically, the better someone is at Battlegrounds, the less likely they are to stop playing the game. Our data team looked at it and found over an 8-month period, 3 Celestial players had stopped playing the game. Not 3%, literally 3 players. So Celestial is like the highest, that's the highest level you can get. This does make sense. It's basically another way of saying the players who have the most time invested in our game are least likely to leave. At any rate, despite the fact the rewards are now nowhere near the top of the game, the trend hasn't changed. The retention rate among competitive Battleground players is still very, very high. But why can't you at least update the rewards? It is a fair question. And this is one of the things that everybody's complaining about. We had some spare capacity. I decided we could manage an update of one of the reward channels. I chose the store because that impacts everybody who plays the mode and is less susceptible to the problems with the meta systems I described above. I'm okay with that. They're talking about rewards that everybody gets from being ranked and the special event or the special objectives. But surely you can do more. Also fair, it's really hard to understand the lift it is to keep the game like contest running from the outside. The priorities listed above led to a bunch of extra stuff on top of my regular duties that I designed and provided guidance of last year. So we got Saga and Saga Chase Champions. We don't care about that, to be honest. The Deathless Chase, we don't care about that, to be honest. AWES, I'm not sure what that is. I think it's Alliance War. Saga Incursions, I don't necessarily care about that. The Crucible, that was okay. Daily Super Event, that was kind of eh. Level cap increase, we all love that. That one I loved. Realm events, okay. Supply drop calendars, 10th anniversary. They need to get rid of the Mysterium stuff. That's what they need to get rid of. It's dry. It's stale. That's the problem. The game is too big. We have come a long way from when Story and Arena was the contest. As the game has grown, the economy has struggled to keep up for three core reasons. There are too many reward channels, and when they say there's too many ways to get rewards, to make them valuable. There are too many reward channels to keep updated. There are so many reward channels that we don't want players to feel like they have to do it all. So cancellation of Battle Realm Brawl, other BG specific. This is all BG. So stale, shuffles, match declines, matchmaking times are a problem. That's not really a problem. Pausing can be an advantage. That's a farming issue. So plan change, this is what we want to see. Plan changes. Removal of the solo event. This change is related to restructuring the meta systems. We will be removing the solo event and distributing the reward budget between the victory track and the gladiator circuit, with most of the milestone budget going to the victory track and most of the ranked reward budget going to gladiator circuit. It won't be a one-for-one mapping reward. So that means that there's going to be some changes. Removal of solo event from season 28. Buff to victory track rewards. So I think that's whenever you win. Season 27, we managed to sneak it in for the coming season. So they're trying to keep people playing. That's what it is. Yes, this means for the next 2 seasons, the solo event will run alongside the buffed victory track rewards. Creation of Radiance, a new competitive currency and store. This change is related to solving the problem that the game has become too big. The plan is that Radiance will eventually replace a substantial portion of the ranked rewards in all competitive modes. This solves all 3 problems I mentioned about. It allows us to control the total reward distribution while better valuing summoner time. It allows us to update the ranked rewards across the game by updating a single store. Yeah, we've got a lot of stores. That's one thing I think they're having problems with, is we've got too many stores. They've got the Trader's Outpost with the Mysterium store. We've got all these different things, and they're having trouble updating all those. It allows summoners to choose their own adventure when it comes to which modes they want to be competitive in and which they don't. So they're going to give out one currency for a bunch of different stuff. Sounds like Mysterium. They need to not neglect that. The Mysterium store is dry and stale. That's my opinion. Introducing this currency also helps future-proof the ecosystem, as we are working on another major mode with competitive opponents. Gladiator Circuit Rewards Overhaul Season 28. AW and AQ to follow later this year. That's good. AQ is so stale that it needs to be updated. And AW is very stale as well. Okay, I'm sure you all have a lot of questions. Yes. New objectives to reward pushing higher faster. This change is related to solving the issue of lack of incentive to play Battlegrounds early in the season and create a more even matchmaking experience. So, reach the Gladiator Circuit by the end of the week 1 season. Exact details are still being worked out, but it probably looks something like this. So, reach 100 rating on the Gladiator Circuit by the end of the week 2 and reach 200. Okay, so they're going to give out rewards for that probably. Plan right now is for these objectives to also award Radiance. Restructure Victory Track to make it easier to gain progress. This change was implemented to increase the accessibility of the mode and make it possible for more players to engage in our desired behavior of a focus on winning matches to progress. So they're going to try and get more people in to go. We changed the victory track so that you will always get more medals for a win and that then you lose for a loss, dramatically increasing the viability of the climb for tens of thousands of players. Already implemented. Okay. Rating decay. This change is related to solving the issue of a lack of incentive to play Battlegrounds regularly for competitive players. Exact details are still being sorted out, but the idea is that if you don't play Battlegrounds for a certain number of days, your rating will begin to decay. Oh, so that's a penalty. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. They're going to penalize you for not playing. I don't like that at all. New ELO tuning and matchmaking settings. This change is related to solving the issue of players at the top running away from the field and having trouble finding matches. This is what they're talking about with how long it takes to get a match. So if you ramp right up into the rating, then it's hard to get the AI to find you a good match. So obviously making sure players can always find a match will become even more important once we introduce rating decay. This way it will work and players' ratings will move. Okay, so they're just going to basically increase the matchmaking. But that's not really affecting everybody. That's just affecting a few people. And finally, restructure Gladiator Circuit rank buckets. With more incentive to push and the change to the Victory Track medal, we expect many more players to reach the Gladiator Circuit than it was designed to support. So I think this is all focused on getting players to stay in Battlegrounds and making them feel good that they're getting through Victory Track faster, so they'll play Battlegrounds more, and they'll also feel like they have to play it more because their rating will decay, and nobody likes to see their rating. So one, they're going to give you an adrenaline rush and an endorphin rush because you are winning. You're getting through Victory Track fast. And then they're going to give you this FOMO feeling. So, you know, the fear of missing out because your rating is decaying. That's all very Vegas, gambling, and casino type thinking, I think. So, all right. I think that's about it for this video. We have talked about what's going on. I'm not going to go through the rest of it. He's got a whole bunch of stuff in here, but I just wanted to bring this out. I've been rambling for over a half an hour now, but I just wanted everybody to see what the problem was, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch everybody